We may be feeling a little bit miserable at this time of the year, but it's time to lift our spirits, clear what's out in the ground, and maybe get a few things in as well. So despite the fact that just about 4 weeks ago this area was looking absolutely glorious, I have harvested the sweet corn. I need to pull these stalks out and clear all of this area. Now the main reason for this is because I have some alliums that I need to get in the ground, and I'm talking about edibles, of course, in the veggie patch. Now I have got lots of beautiful onion sets which are autumn varieties that I want to get in here. Now normally this area is a no-dig area, and actually I'm going to stick to that principle, but I know that there are weeds in here. But again, these weeds are actually air set seeds rather than ones which have been really well established in the ground, because this has been no dig area for at least the last 5-6 years. So all I'm going to do with this is, once I've got it cleared, is I'm just going to put a fresh layer of compost over the top, none of that cardboard, because actually this area is pretty good. And then I'm going to be looking at some of my onion sets. So first things first, let's get this stuff out of the ground. Well, that was actually ridiculously easy, and actually it just goes to show how good having a no-dig bed actually is. Without really disturbing any of that mycelium network underneath the soil, I was literally able just to scrape off those top weeds. Did have to have a little dig underneath to undermine one or two others, but it just literally pulled out of the ground. Now what I do still have in this bed is I have got some of my rainbow chard, and I have got some beetroot. Now I know that these cannot stay in this bed, although they are looking so glorious. What I am going to do is I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to transplant them. Now I've already moved some of my rainbow chard into the polytunnel, and it's taken really well, so I'm going to move the rest of them. And the same with the beetroot. Now I'm not looking for the actual beets on this beetroot. If I transplant it into the polytunnel, all I'm going to be looking for on these ones is actually the leaves themselves. So out they go into a bucket, and then I'm just going to move them. Quite easy really. So that's the fresh compost put over this particular bed, where we've already got that really good mycelium network, and I've just lightly raked it. I haven't actually patted it down. So what I need to make sure I'm doing is I'm not going to compact the soil, which is why I have my board here where I'm actually going to be planting my onion sets. Now these need to go about 10 centimeters apart from each other, and probably about 2 centimeters in depth, depending on the size of either your onions or your shallots, depending on what you're actually planting. So just with your dibber, just make a little hole, and what you need to make sure is that the flat end where the roots are go into the ground, and then just need to make sure that the top is just literally showing. Now again, this is because that's where the greenery is going to shoot up, and it also means that you can see where you have planted it. It may be a good idea actually just to dib your holes to start off with, pop them in, and then not compacting them too much, just sort of squeeze around where you put your onions, and then they should be pretty happy. Now what I may need to do at some point with these is actually net them over. When I do my garlic, I do those in the greenhouse in cells, and that is because the birds will love them as they start to shoot up. They'll think they're grubs and they'll pull them out of the ground, and the same could actually be true of my onions. And these are obviously going to be my early ones for next year, and come around March time I'm going to then put my sort of main crop out again into the ground, and I'm going to have lots and lots of beautiful onions. So our alliums, definitely one of the trinity. If you are cooking with your produce from the allotment, make sure you get garlic, onions, either ginger or tomatoes, depending on what you're actually cooking. I've got a whole bed to do, and I'm really looking forward to my onions next year.